All right, welcome back. Part three. Where will be? Let's try saying that like 6 times. Where will be? Where will be? Where will be? Uh, we'll be looking at the mixer, which is pretty awesome. If you open it up, it might look a little slightly different because I have it in compact view. You might have it in like wide view, which is if you're into that. I like compact because I use a lot of tracks usually. Um, so yeah, each of these things are called inserts, and you can basically link all of the sound stuff here to an insert. And the way you do this is you click on a pattern or an instrument or whatever, and you usually have this little menu up here. I think. Let's just make sure. It's weird if you don't really pay attention to this stuff. Yeah, if you have a sample, you can basically go to. I think with yeah, with synthesizers, it's a little bit different. You have to click on this little gear icon, and you get these options. But with samples, they're usually just on there. So you can link this. Let's say we want to link this chunk percussion sample to track one. You just turn this up to track one. Or if what you can do is you can just click on that little track below the little uh, switcheroo. And it just links it to the next open track. So it'll probably link it to me for me to number 5 because these tracks are all linked to 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you can also do it here. It's really easy. Um, or you can also use a method that I never ever use is you can select it here, and then you can go to a track and say link selected to select channels routed to this track. Yeah, select it. So then you just route it to here, I'm guessing. Not at all. Hold on, let me just figure this out real quick. If you have it select, okay, whatever. Well, that's how I do it usually. So you have this situation. You have it selected, and you go to the track, and you can say solo selected tracks. Blah 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 blah. Route selected channel to this track. Channel routing. Boom. Okay, so now I have 2 copies of this situation. This one's linked to 6. This one's linked to not to 5. But okay, because I have it selected, I can go here and say channel routing. Route selected to this channel. Booyah. Cool stuff. And also you can take these tracks and rename them or change the color, make them red. That's usually fun. You can like make all of your beats. Shut up. Make all of your. How do I select multiples? Oh, control shift. I usually just figure it out as I go along. And you can just go color. Now you have all your beats, and you just call them, make them blue. And I guess you can rename all of them. Call them beats. Cool stuff. And yeah, this is a whole routing system. This mixer, which is kind of complicated in the beginning, but you get used to it. So basically, the whole situation works is you can even link multiple sounds to one track. So once you have, let's say, like this sample, I have it put on number 5 right here, and let's get out number 5 here, so I can give you. You have a bunch of effects to choose from to put on this, and what you can do is you have 10 slots here. And if you click one of these slots, you have a bunch of freaking effects you can add to that specific sound. And a basic one is probably like reverb, and Fruity Reverb 2 is pretty great. I wonder if they got rid of Fruity Reverb 1. I hope not. It was pretty dope. No way. Did they get rid of it? Wow. That's crazy. They're ruthless. So yeah, now you have a little bit of reverb on this. Sounds all echoey and yummy and cool. And we'll probably cover effects, the types of effects you get on in another video. But yeah, so now you have this effect, and you can also add another effect. Let's say distortion or something. Where's the distortion stuff? Pressure, pitcher, blah 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 blah. Distortion. Cool. Let's say you do 3D wave shaper and you want to distort the crap out of this. Brace your ears. This might hurt a little. And it did. So you can turn down the volume here with this little slider. Bonk. Yeah, so you can add multiple effects, and what's cool now is because you have multiple effects, you can also go onto this little arrow again, and you can say move up or down, and you can move it down a bunch of times, and then the distortion happens before the reverb happens, which makes things a little bit more comfortable. And yeah, so remember, all the effects happen from the top down, right? And then it gets output to the master channel. And the master channel is an interesting situation because this is basically where everything comes to an end. Basically where it actually comes to an end is right up here in this little corner right here, because if you turn down the volume here, you still have the volume tuner up here, and it's pretty weird because this is the master output, and this is also the master output. This is the master output before the master output. So yeah, if you have everything turned up and everything comes out the master chain, you can always turn it down here again as a last resort. But you can also put effects on the master chain, and this is usually where you do, guess what? Mastering. Hey-o. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And on each effect, on each track, you also have this little EQ, which I absolutely never use, and it's probably been there since version 1. But basically, yeah, you have a little bit of a peak situation here, and you can turn around where you want to put it. But what I usually do is I just put a parametric EQ2, by the way, which has more parameters which you can change and stuff, and change the. We'll probably cover this in another video, but yeah, it's the basic stuff. So you have a little basic equalizer here if you want to equalize everything in the end. And what is this situation? Oh, if you want to measure set in milliseconds. Oh, okay. And you can also set to where you want to output it to. Basically everything gets outputted to the master channel. And yeah, if you have, like me, you have a microphone hooked up to a, what's it called, audio interface, you can choose, I want to put an input here, and you're gonna hear some echoing, probably.
Because now you hear me twice, which is stupid.
Weird. I don't know why the quality is so shit. It's probably because it's being used in... Oh, it's because we're not using the right audio settings. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'll probably change that after I recorded the video. So that was probably like the webcam audio or something like that. So yeah, and then you can input a bunch of stuff in there. And yeah, that's pretty cool. That's for if you want to record stuff. And you can also, if you have your freaking effect, you can turn down the degree to which it's mixed into the mix with this little knob here, which is fun if you want to like turn up an effect all the way to the drop and just bring it down again with the automation stuff. This stuff is way more complicated than I remember it to be. And if I'm thinking of it in an objective manner, like trying to think if I never understood all this stuff, how complicated this stuff would be to me, this is ridiculous. But it took me 4 years to learn FL Studio. And yeah, I've basically been doing it for 4 years now. Wow. But it's so simple now. And you can also turn off the effect with this little button right here. And that can also be automated because it's just like a Boolean values. It's like a 1 or a 0. And yeah, you can also link specific tracks to other tracks by if you have a track selected, you see it's routed out to the master track. But if you want to have more than 10 effects, you can route it out to another track like that with this little button. And yeah, obviously it's going to be amplified twice now because you're playing the sound twice. So in both waveforms go on top of each other, which amplifies the sound and makes it double as loud as it used to be. And if I turn it off, you get the idea. So yeah, that's some basic stuff. So that's if you want to link more effects, you can daisy chain some more effects up here. Add a limiter, blah 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 blah. So yeah, that's the basic stuff here, and you have a little bit of a few controls on the track itself. And this is if you want to reverse the polarity. So if you basically want to flip the waveform, like if you have the waveform here and you just want to basically flip it around on the z-axis, no y-axis, no x-axis, no z-axis, y-axis, y-axis, yeah. Yeah, and then you have your panning if you want to pan it to the right. You go to the right here, and then to the left. Use that a lot of times. Reverse polarity. Swap left and right channels. Yeah, if you want to swap the stereo channels, play the right through the left and the left through the right. And you can also have stereo separation. So it's uber stereo, and it offsets the stereo situation, the stereo tracks a little bit, so it sounds more wider. And then you can also make it mono by turning it to the right, which is pretty cool. And yeah, if you want to disable these effect slots, you just press this button and it doesn't do any of these things. And you can add track latency. Wow, I wanted to do this the other day and I didn't know how to do it. It's set in milliseconds, so you can basically offset it by like 100 milliseconds is 1 second, right? Millimeters, maximeters. Just thinking, hold on. Millimeters, tens. Okay, so let's say 500. So it's gonna take like 5 seconds to start playing, I guess. No, milliseconds are too slow. Set in milliseconds, let's say like 10,000 million gazillion. I'm not sure how that works at all. Maybe I'll do a video on it. Cool stuff. And if you want to arm a track for recording, that's basically if you, let's say you have, where's that track where I had my, yeah, okay, so you have my, let's say I have my microphone input here. And I can arm it for recording, and if I press this button, it starts recording stuff, and you get a bunch of settings here as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's the basics, I guess. Yeah, I think that concludes my Uber Basics series of the super duper 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 basics of FL Studio. But there's a lot of, as you can see, there's a lot of parameters you can still play with, and you don't have to use everything. And once you know what things you use the most, you can probably get pretty fucking good at those few things you want to do quite quick. And yeah, but I can probably say with confidence that I know how to do most of this stuff except for that button. So yeah, that's pretty much concludes my super basics for FL Studio, and I hope you enjoyed the small series. I think I'm going to be doing a few more tutorials on how to do some super duper bass sounds and stuff. I just wanted to get some of these videos out and just get some practice. I haven't made FL Studio videos in quite a long time. So yeah, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next whatever video. Cheers. Have a great one.